Hi, beautiful souls. Okay, today we're diving into one of the most challenging aspects of your spiritual growth, how to tell the difference between your ego and your soul. And here are 7 ways.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katana.
And I'm Anna Reina, and we are the Soulmanity sisters. We're here to help awaken souls on their spiritual development journey.
As you move along your spiritual path, distinguishing between these two can sometimes feel really tricky, but it's one of the most important things you will learn to master. And in today's video, we'll be sharing 7 ways to tell the difference, helping you become more attuned to when it's your ego leading the way or when it's your higher guidance speaking with you.
Sometimes like, is it me? Or am I really hearing this? Or is it me?
It's like kind of difficult sometimes.
It is hard. It's hard while you're trying to figure out that kind of pattern. And for those of you who want to learn how to tap into your soul on a deeper level, we'll share more about how you can go further at the end of the video. But let's get started.
All right. Number 1. Ego is fear-based and soul is love-based. Our ego often speaks from fear. It's that voice that doubts, second guesses you, and imagines the worst case scenario. I sometimes don't like that, okay?
Yeah, always.
It thrives on limitations and what ifs. Soul, on the other hand, guides from a place of love. It feels peaceful, expansive, and aligned with your highest good. So you'll notice that when that energy comes through, it's also like behind a thought or decision. It feels restrictive or it could feel tense. That's more likely your ego, okay? It's like it's deeper, darker in a way. And your soul is always loving and assurance that, yes, you can do it. It's that kind of voice. Yeah. So oftentimes, when almost everybody had that one moment where you had to make a major decision, and oftentimes your first gut reaction is that I need to go this direction, but then your soul started to, your mind started to analyze everything and go like, but logically speaking, I should be doing that. And then you did that and it was the worst decision ever. So best thing to do is just really go with your gut, or when that little voice is speaking to you saying, hey, go this way.
Okay, so number 2, the ego is loud and the soul is quiet. So there's a difference in your volume. So the ego is kind of pushy, persistent, makes a lot of noise in your head, part of that mind chatter that you guys are talking about a lot. But the soul is more like a whisper. It comes in more quiet and softer, and it doesn't force its way to the forefront, but it's gentle and clear and quiet, knowing that it sits right there beneath the surface. So this is, you have to sometimes kind of find that voice within you, but at the same time, just know that it's always there guiding you. A lot of people expect that their inner voice and their soul to be loud, their soul, this is that sign. This is what you've been waiting for. This is that big answer, but it's not really like that at all. Sometimes it's just faint, sincere, and clear. And it takes you to kind of slow down. It takes you to get into that meditative moment or mindfulness and just spend a couple of days in silence so that you can help distinguish between the loud ego and the gentle whisper of the higher self in your soul. So the best thing you do is just really quiet your mind. Get out of your busy and life and just get calm. Set aside a few minutes for yourself so that you can take that moment to see, okay, what is really happening? After all that deafening noise, when you're still, what is the soul really trying to nudge you? Because the nudges are what's really important in guiding you on your path.
So important to really quiet your mind. And often we say it all the time, go out into nature and just focus on one thing, okay? And that way you're quieting your mind. Take a few minutes out of your busy life to really learn how to do this, okay? Because yes, life is crazy and busy, but we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our soul as well to really have that quiet moment where you actually can connect and you can actually listen to your soul's voice. It's a very faint voice. It's like, hello, I'm here. Okay?
It's there.
Don't forget me.
Everyone has it.
And then the ego always likes to over trump everything. But the thing is that once you learn how to really quiet your mind, and it's so easily done, you just go outside, listen to music or anything, just center yourself and get to that really centered place in your life in that moment. And that's the true you. Is that one moment where you're just really quiet. And that's when you can really connect. That's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it is. All right, so number 3. This one talks about how the ego is attached to outcomes and the soul is detached. So what does that mean? So ego loves to latch onto very specific outcomes. It wants to control and feels anxious when things don't even go the way it was planned or what it had intended. Now, the soul, though, is more relaxed and just trusts the process. It doesn't need to know every detail of how things will unfold. Instead, it's comfortable with uncertainty, knowing that the bigger picture is being taken care of. So it's allowing the space for the universe to provide in whatever way it wants to provide it, where the ego is like, this has to happen, this has to happen, and this has to happen. So, and basically the ego says, I need this job to prove my worth, while the soul is saying, I'm open to where the universe leads me. There's a trust and surrender with that, with your soul and your intuition. While this ego kind of struggles with it because it thrives in control. It wants to be in control. So it's hard. It's hard to let go and surrender. It's hard to allow that flexibility, right? Because the ego doesn't know any other way. It's in survivor mode. So it just like, this is what I want. This is how I have to get it. And nothing else is acceptable. Which makes it hard sometimes.
Or when you start to manifest, when you're putting it out into the universe, that, oh, but I want this, 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 this. And you only have one idea. Instead of letting the universe work for you, the ego is really pushing, say, I want it this way and no other way, because the ego cannot see outside of itself, okay? Cannot see sometimes, oh, there's so many different things that you haven't even thought that it could happen, okay? And so when you allow and you trust the universe that it will provide, really understand what the soul is trying to do. And the soul will work with the universe and it will come to you. But when you keep pushing one specific narrative, right? And that's when it goes the other direction. You won't get what you want, because the ego sometimes feel like, I need exactly that. But then it didn't realize, oh my goodness, there was so much more behind that.
Yeah. Why sell yourself short, basically? Why sell yourself short? The universe is like, really, that's it? I can give you so much more than that. But yeah.
Trust in that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So number 4, ego seeks validation. Soul seeks inner knowing. So the ego consistently seeks external validation. It wants approval from others, recognition, or a sense of security through outside sources. So soul, however, draws from an inner well of wisdom. So it's never really seeking validation outside. It knows within that it can validate itself and who you are in your journey. It doesn't need anyone to agree with you, because it comes from your own soul's knowing. The more connected you are with that inner wisdom, the less you'll feel the need to seek outside for confirmation or rely on other people, approval, or anything like that, because you are your own empowerment. You are your own being.
I find that really difficult at times, especially in this world where, we're being challenged all the time. And so we're conditioned from only the winners will win, or, only the ones. And that's not like that. Sometimes, we find it all the time. Like, for example, your parents or society around you are pushing you in a direction. Like, people say, oh, you have to become a doctor, or you have to become this. And your soul's like, actually,
that's not your path. That's not your purpose.
That's not what I came here to earth to do. I'm here to help others in a different way. So that's sometimes it can be iffy, but as soon as you listen to it, guess what happens? You feel so fulfilled from within.
Yeah. So number 5. So ego is all about scarcity, while your soul is all about abundance. So ego kind of always focuses on the idea of lack. It's always worried about what's missing, whether it's time, money, or opportunity. The fear of missing out, that comes from your ego. Now, the soul, on the other hand, kind of like trusts in the abundance of the universe. It knows that there's more than enough and that everything you need is on the way. It moves from a place of trust rather than a fear of missing out, right? And so the idea is you have to learn to trust in that, just like we were speaking about, so it can manifest into your reality as it is right now. Now, this can be really hard because we all have bills to pay. We all have all this rent and expenses. And so money is always something of a concern for us. And we've learned, even working with our students in the Katana Institute, when they want to pay and invest in classes and to further their spiritual development or close mentorship that we provide, they're kind of worried about paying for something, like investing in themselves for something like that. And we always say, listen, if it's meant to be, you will be provided for. Like, if this is meant for you, like you feel strongly and this resonates with you and you're ready to take that next level step, then trust that the universe is going to provide that for you. And we see it all the time. Like, randomly they get checks in the mail, or randomly somebody gives them money, or they get extra Christmas or birthday presents with a little bit of extra, but they weren't even expecting it. And that's how the universe is allowed to provide for you. So, and that's what's basically helping you in the process. So you're trusting the universe, you're following your guts, and you're aligning with those synchronicities, everything that we've been talking about, so this abundance can be provided for.
Happens all the time, Austin.
Yeah.
I remember a story when this was a few years back when I was still working as a business consultant, and I was actually transitioning out of one job and into the other. You know how there's like a transition period that they don't pay you right away? So I was actually missing like $600 to pay rent. And this was almost like the last day. I'm like, oh my God, I need rent. And then I need some money. I didn't say I need, I said, I choose to have money. Please help me. And then the next day I opened up an envelope and there was like $600 and some in there as a check. And of course,
from years ago, it was like for something years ago that had been in a balance or an account.
Yeah. And I looked at it, I'm like, is this for real? Of course, I'm always questioning.
She's calling, check-in, holding it up to the light. I was like, thank you, universe. Say thank you.
And sure enough, it was for real. It was legit. And that's how the universe works. And that's how God works. It's, amazing. So just trust in that. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so when you're feeling that fear of missing out, pause and remind yourself that the universe is abundant. You are a multidimensional being. You have expansive gifts and abilities. There's always more than enough for you, and your soul knows this. So it's the ego that is limiting your possibilities, and don't allow that, okay?
And here we go. Number 6. Your ego is reactive and your soul is more responsive.
I love that.
So your ego tends to be reactive, like it jumps into conclusions, and it also decides out of, I don't know, it's always defensive, okay? And it reacts to situations without thinking things through. Oops, sometimes I do that. Okay, I'm only human, all right? And the soul, it takes its time and waits for the right moment and gives you guidance that is measured, more thoughtful, and more aligned, of course, with your highest self.
That's the responsive part. That's that connection part.
I don't know. Have you ever reacted in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? So that's often your ego speaking.
Oh, yeah.
But when you take a breath, you slow down and wait for that deeper knowing to arise. That's when you can hear your soul coming through with really guidance, like profound guidance. And it's a matter of learning to silence the mind, as we talked about it before. And so you can seek this guidance clearly and really allow that to just have a bigger voice. You can actually talk to your soul and say, hey, can you talk a little bit louder?
Yeah, you can always ask for that.
So that's a good...
not only to mention, I always say, when I want to react, it's just you know what, let's sleep on it. Let's just take a breath. Let's take a moment, because you have this knee-jerk reaction all the time when something happens. And being a Latina, we're all fired up anyways, oh no, you did it. So it's true. So it's calm down, just calm down. Let's sleep on it. Let this energy, let's calm down, whatever that might take, just, sleeping it off or taking a walk, whatever the case, and then approaching it later from a different, calmer perspective. Because you get that knee-jerk reaction from the ego and you're not thinking rational. You're not thinking of looking at it from different perspectives. Maybe it is you. It could be you that really caused that situation to happen, and you just don't think that way because you're being in that defensive mode. So sleeping on it is great.
For real, oftentimes, you have to ask yourself, I like to expand out. So when a situation happens, I actually zoom out of the situation and even out into space. And I see Earth like a small little dot, and you know what? Is it really going to matter to you in a week or 2, or, 5 months from now, a year from now? And then usually the answer is no. So it's just in that moment where your ego is not with me, so don't you dare do that. And then you calm down, and then you start, forgiving maybe the other person, whatever the situation may be, that because you saw from one perspective. And then with that, over time, you get used to seeing things from various perspectives, because your soul is saying, hey, you know what? That was not like that. This person was going through a really difficult time. So you have more empathy and more compassion. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a good one. All right. Last but not least, number 7. So the ego actually lives in your past, right? And your soul is living in the present, in the now. So ego spends a lot of time in the past or worrying about the future. It replays old stories. We've all been there, regrets, or anticipates things haven't happened yet. And you go over and over it in your mind. Now, the soul is always grounded in the present moment. It guides you from a place of now. And when you tune into it, you'll notice that it brings you back to here and now rather than pulling you in different directions. So, all that past, this would happen in my past relationship, so it's going to happen in my future relationship, or this same person is going to do what this other person did. And you're going in those looping cycles, but the soul kind of keeps you here in this moment to give you a more present look at what's truly happening, whatever the situation may be with that person or that situation, that event. Like, be in the now so you can really get a clear picture of how to express it, how to deal with it, how to heal from it. And you can be really honest with yourself when you're looking in the now.
Because these are just past patterns.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's always been like that. Your ego is trying to say, hey, it's always been like that. And now it's time to change that pattern. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever noticed that your best intuition or your intuitive hits come when you're completely relaxed and you're in the present moment, you're centered, right? Or you're doing something creative and your creative juices are flowing, or when you are looking for a solution to a problem and in that moment you just can't, but then after when you're quiet down, or after you slept maybe, or even in a dream because you're like completely relaxed, that's when all of these like guidance will really come through.
And we're always talking about having this silent moment or taking a moment. That's the challenge. You have to make that time. You have to make that moment happen. It is possible. It is up to you to save that time aside so that you can do that for yourself. All right, so you have it. 7 ways to start recognizing the difference between your ego and soul. These are powerful insights to carry with you as you continue to grow on your spiritual path. Now, this is just the beginning. So truly understanding the difference and practicing how to live more intuitively while quieting the ego and also listening to your soul, that's a lifelong journey. So give yourself some grace because, you were like, oh, how did I get tricked again? Or how did I get confused again? It happens all the time. But if you found this helpful and want to take it even further, we encourage you to explore the resources that we have at our Katana Institute. We offer deeper teachings on how to strengthen your soul and align more fully with your higher self, which can completely transform you and the way you move through your life. So we can help you that with close mentorship, with guidance. It's a beautiful process. You don't have to do it alone.
And also, if you want these 7 ways of finding out, we have a checklist. So it'll be in the description. You can download the PDF. Okay.
We can't wait to see you in our next video or inside our community. Until next time, trust in yourself and the wisdom within you.
Stay beautiful.
Bye.